Road Less Traveled is a story of our journey around the world.
We started a trip around the world. We're pretty freaking psyched.
We started planning that big trip beginning of 2016. In September 2017 we just went for it, and the principle is looking for about a year and a half to visit 18 countries all around the world.
While we were planning it the whole time, it sounded too good to be true on paper, and looking at the map and like looking at all the boulders and routes and things that we'll do. Here we are in Greece.
We're in Greece because it's the first stop of our big trip, because I was here last year with the FF Cam. We put up a little new sector of about 10 routes with all the crew. And one of these routes, which is actually the first route I ever bolted with a good friend of mine, Mathieu Bouillou. It's called Partage de l'Adage. It's a 8B, and when I left last year, I couldn't send it. So it was like my first goal when we got back to Kyparissi with Josh this year.
The first thing on the list to do was to hike up to the AWLT cliff.
It's about a 15-minute drive from downtown Kyparissi, and once you park, you have about a 40-45 minute hike. This cliff has a lot of options, especially in 8S routes and up. All these lines are super attractive for either just climb them or bolt them if they're not bolted yet. Partage de l'Adage starts with a nice mono tufa, and then it gets really steep, and the route goes slightly to the right, and you go through those very funky and physical moves all the way to a first little crux where you reach the bottom of a thin single tufa. And when you reach there, you got a nice almost no hands rest with a big knee bar. And then the business of the route arrives, because you have a little traverse with small holes and then big lock-offs, little dynamic moves. And when the route gets a little less steep, you have one more big move, and then it's more slabby and a nice crack to finish over until the anchor. Our main goal when going to Kyparissi was not only climbing but also bolting. So we came with a nice little package of bolts, and we hacked them up in the sector of Babala.
You know, I always had my eyes out for a route that I wanted to bolt.
And one day while walking along the cliff, we spotted that nice little ledge where just above it there was a huge overhang with like perfect tufa lines.
After climbing, we decided to throw a rope down it and bolt it. So it was our first project bolting together in Greece, and it was memorable for sure, with all the different scorpions we saw and holds that we found along the route, and the movement that became Tarsus Manus. That's some harness burn right there.
It definitely took quite some day to clean the route and find out the movements. This route is very challenging because it has a very hard beginning with a section where you kind of have to find your own beta. I did mine with some undercling movements, did a few tries, and finally I climbed it at the end of the trip. And then you have some big moves through tufas when you reach all the way to a very good knee bar rest, and then it's just tufa climbing, drop knee, knee bars, little rests, and like that all the way to the top. and at the end we agreed on a 8C for the grade.
Some days Charlotte and I were pretty lazy, so it was either a rest day or go to Watermill. Watermill was like an 8-minute drive and a 3-minute hike.
The cliff is also totally worth it because it has great quality and diversity with a big belly with stalactites on it and tufa at the top of it. So it was really fun climbing as well, and reminded me a lot of the famous Kalymnos. Amongst the sea of stalactites, we picked a route called Medusa's Blood, which is an 8B.
I've never actually climbed on stalactites in a roof, so it was the first time understanding how to climb around them and use them as knee bars and hugging them. It was cool, it was a good experience. And then there was a nice boulder problem after it. Both send it basically on our last goes right before night. We did it back to back.
In the middle of the trip, we luckily met with some locals, Aris Theodoropoulos
Είμαι ο Άρης.
and his wife Kate,
Είμαι η Κατερίνα.
and friends that came with them.
Είμαι ο Γιώργος.
Με λένε Αντρέα.
And that was really great because it was a good opportunity to catch up about climbing in Greece and also the development around Kyparissi. They brought us to the sector of Lihada, which is usually an hour approach from the road, but we went it with a boat and it was reduced to a 20-minute, and it was much more fun than going by the road.
I was finally able to meet the famous Aris, the man, the myth, the Greek legend. Aris has been writing guidebooks and developing and bolting and pushing the sport of climbing in Greece.
He lives in Kalymnos and still developed there. Started the development in Kyparissi a couple years ago.
Here we are in Kyparissi. The first few routes opened in 2007, and then some friends arrived to open 5-6 more routes. We found some legacy funds, and we started to develop some climbing tracks here in Kyparissi. What we hope now it is other climbers can come and continue our work to open more routes to the existing sectors or even to new sectors in the area.
There's no other like climbing that I've done in my life actually than the moves I've done on Sequoia Lava. Yeah, we spied this big tufa. I don't even know if you call it a tufa. I feel like a tufa is one hand. This is like a leg wrap. It was amazing that we were able to bolt it together, Charlotte and I, and it was also cool that it wasn't like a 9A or an 8C, or it was something that a lot of people can go up there and climb it.
It looks like a big sequoia tree, and when you climb it, you're kind of hugging it, and so sequoia love.
It's such a wide tufa that you're hugging it. You're compressing your way up. Like it's a mini T-Rex compression route as well as it is a tufa. Sequoia Love is just one of those lines that you only get to climb this way on big monotufas. We bolted it one day, cleaned it the second day, sent it the third day. 2.5 days of work to get our beautiful Sequoia Love 8A. That was a nice project together.
Sure, as you see the places we visit, there are some dream places that we hope to start develop next year. For me, Kyparissi can be one of the major climbing areas in Greece. People say that Babala is the Zeus with tufas. Maybe they have right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe.
When we had to decide about the place to stay in Kyparissi, I didn't even think about it. Very good memory of the owner, Nectaria, who I was in contact with before going.
Είμαι η Νεκταρία, μένω στο Kyparissi. Cavalcortia is a small hotel, about 13 rooms.
Cavalcortia is like storybook villas, like stacked one on top of another.
It's a family business and we are 8 years.
We're going to get breakfast.
We'd have breakfast down there every morning and we would hike 5 minutes to the beach every night. It was kind of idyllic place. We asked about the bouldering options in Greece and Kate taught us about Tinos, which is pretty much a bouldering island. With Josh we decided that we would spend our last few days in Greece in the island of Tinos.
So Charlotte and I left Kyparissi a few days early, hopped on a ferry from pretty much Athens.
Arrived in the island of Tinos at night, met up with Manthos.
Γεια σας, με λένε Μάθο Πρελορίτζο, είμαι από την Τίνο.
We arrived at night and got directions from a local that was very vague. It was like basically drive down this dirt road and take a left and take a right, park near this rock and set up your tent.
In the morning we woke up. What we saw around us was incredible. It was like fields of boulder as far as you can see.
Just loads of boulders. It was amazing. So we spent 3 days just exploring all these different pockets of bouldering zones along Tinos Island.
We first discovered the sector of blocs, which was totally overwhelming because there were so many boulders.
Apparently there's like a guidebook written in German with 600 boulder problems in it, and that's just like a fraction of the bouldering that is available in Tinos.
So we moved to the sector of Livada and we walked around in the morning and found that beautiful white bubbly rock just next to the sea. So we decided to take the brushes, the crash pad and clean it and climb it, and it was very, very cool, easy line just over the water.
Did I like Greece? I loved Greece. I still love Greece. Thank you to all of my new Greek friends.
Thank you to Aris for helping us organizing things and letting us bolt and develop.
Our next destination is Serbia. Why Serbia?
Climbing a bit in Belgrade and also going to a town called Niš, where there is some beautiful gorges to be climbed and bolted as well.